We will get started. Okay, super. Well, welcome back. We are going to be talking about, we're at session 11, lucky number 11, and follow up with leads. So we are going to talk about converting business to probable business, and here we go. We're gonna get going. Let's see, come on. All right, and as always, you guys know this, just follow TCPA guidelines. Also making sure that any information that you put out there that you've verified, also knowing that when you're doing any marketing to make sure to do it properly with the marketing guidelines that have been given to you. And know that since the lawsuit commissions are negotiable. If you have questions about any of this, feel free to talk to me about it. We also, we want to touch on fair housing, that it's very important that we're mindful of how we're marketing and that it is all inclusive, fair housing for all. And then the AI disclaimer, you have to verify anything that you're creating with AI to make sure that it's accurate. Not just, grammatical errors, but even like accuracy, like what data, where is it pulling its data from? I think it's a lot more, I think it's better when you can collect the data, feed it to AI and say, do something with this. So anyway, so that's just my 2 cents there. Okay. So today we are at follow up with leads. This whole section has to do with lead follow up, especially this week. It's all about like building relationships. How do you capture leads? How do you cultivate them and strengthen these relationships? And then we start moving into working with buyers and sellers. All right. And then today's agenda, we'll be learning lead conversion. It's one thing to talk to people, but how do we convert them from, someone that you just have their phone number to converting them into a client, converting them into an appointment? One of the biggest things that we've talked about is you just have to ask. I mean, it's really, really quite simple and it's so easy to forget. I know I've talked to many people who have been like, they were like, hey, yeah, I met like this many people and I handed out my business cards. I'm like, great. So now you just relinquished control. You have no idea if they're going to call you. So I want you to think of it as you'd like to be able to capture that information to make those connections. I think truly, if you get in that mindset of how can I collect their information so I can keep in touch with them and not just rely on them calling you. How to convert a lead into an appointment. We'll also talk about improving your conversion rate. This is where tracking your numbers is really important. Like, great, if you've made calls, if you've done direct messages or texts, like how many are you doing? How many have been converted into appointments? That's why tracking is so important. You all have been given tools. You have tools from like that you all should be receiving emails from KW asking how was your day? How are things going? What did you get accomplished? That's part of your tracker. So if you're not doing that, I highly encourage you start today. Very important that you start to track that. If you don't use that, you were sent an email with an online tracker that I created specifically for Ignite. And this is to be able to keep track of your smart system and also ask about, great appointments and, did you take care of your duties, basically, like making the connections, the contacts, the handwritten notes, the social media tasks? And then did it result in an appointment? So being able to track that, and then we can see like what's your conversion rate, and then it'll help us see, do you need to focus on quantity or quality, and or how you convert clients. So that's what we'll be working on. And then we're going to work on a system for capturing, cultivating, converting, and closing leads. And then we're going to apply proven methods. So that way we increase your conversion rate over time. And then we'll recap and have ahas. As always, I really want to make sure that you are hyper aware of, like, as we go through this, think about what is your one actionable item that you will implement, right? Because you're drinking from a fire hose. I'm giving you a lot of information, but in bite-sized pieces. Yesterday, we talked about smart plans. It would be to your benefit to explore smart plans and create one now, right? So that way you're not like, oh, well, I've forgotten, it just doesn't happen. Just like today, we're going to work on some systems. How can you now add that into a task or an actionable item? So by the time we're done with today, I'd like you to think forward on, like, okay, great, this is what I'm going to work on. This is the actionable step I will take. So have that in the back of your mind so that by the time we get to the end of the call, you are able to identify what is your actionable step or steps moving forward. Make sense? Okay, here we go. So, learn lead conversion. So this is basically an essential part of lead follow-up. Oftentimes people assume that lead generation and lead conversion are the same. It's not. I'm going to say that again. Oftentimes people think that lead generation and lead conversion are the same. Can anyone tell me what's the difference? What do you think is the difference between lead generation and lead conversion?
Lead generation is a method of how you're, I guess, gaining leads, and then lead conversion is actually turning them into clients.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yes, yes, yes. It is, you're exactly right. So lead generation is these activities that we learned about, the prospecting, the marketing, in order to get leads. Lead conversion happens after the lead is captured and part of lead follow-up. Exactly. So we're going to really work and dig deep into this. The effort you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. So we're putting effort into generating leads, right? But we also need to be able to convert them. And there's an art to that, but also, like, remember, you've probably heard me say this before, the fortune is in the follow-up. We certainly want to make sure that we stay top of mind, offer something of value. And then at what point are we truly converting them from, a lead into a full-on contact? So why do you think both activities, generation and conversion, deserve the same amount of time spent?
Because you always will need to be getting leads, um, and while converting them does create a client, you'll need clients afterwards. So you keep wanting to prospect because you showed us those percentages, and they're not the largest margin. So you want to keep working.
Exactly. Great. All right, so in your participant guide, let's go ahead and turn to the lead conversion process page. So here you'll see like converting a lead to an appointment is a process that can happen quickly. Although in some cases it can happen slowly. And there's a book that was written by Gary Keller. It's called Shift. And it tells us that consistently getting every possible appointment from the leads you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. I'm going to read that one more time. Consistently getting every possible appointment from the leads you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. So right there, we just talked about what your job is: to prepare, to practice, and have purposeful action. So this starts at the top of the model with capture. You have to capture correct information and enough information to be able to contact that person. So put this into practice also when you're at open houses and you're having conversations with people. Sometimes it's easy to get distracted, or you're managing multiple groups, but also like if you're connecting with someone, maybe before they leave, say, oh, I'd love to stay in touch. Did you leave me your phone number? Because sometimes they might have just written their email address. And then if you go circle back around and look at your sign-in sheet, asking them, is it okay if we stay in touch? What's your preferred method of communication? Or I'd love your phone number. I'd love to be able to text you, some additional information or whatever. Or, hey, I have this great app I'd love to share with you. So being able to like capture the correct information so that way you can keep in touch. And then you move through to connecting. So you're building a connection, gaining information, and building trust. So this is part of that, like we talked about having items of value, staying in touch repeatedly. You're having systems in place to do that. And then finally, it ends with closing for an appointment. And without the appointment, conversion hasn't happened. So when the conversion step does not result in an appointment, what do you think happens next? What should we be doing with that lead?
Keep cultivating.
Yeah, that's right there. Exactly. So for any of you that are gardeners, it's like not every plant is going to grow super fast, and they're not all going to be harvested at the same time. So for the ones that are still developing, we're going to continue to cultivate them. We're going to continue to water them. We're going to feed them until they've ripened and they're ready to be harvested. So same thing with the leads. We just want to keep in touch. Oftentimes those people that you think in the back of your mind, like, oh, they're not converting as quick. Don't leave them behind, because eventually they will come around. So we go from probable to profitable. So possible business, probable business, profitable business. So after lead generation, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you have to master. It's where the possible business that comes from lead generating activities turn into probable business and ultimately then into profitable business. So we really want to focus on the conversion and being able to connect with folks and know what is their motivation. All right, we're going to keep going. There's stuff that I'd like to keep going and go. So the next section we'll cover is how to convert a lead to an appointment. And so this model will help structure for success and lay the groundwork for future accomplishments. So we'll move right in. So capturing is defined as collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information of a potential buyer or seller. And at the minimum, what is the minimum you should information you should capture? What do you think that is? And which one do you think is more valuable? There's probably two, but I think there's one that's maybe more valuable than the other.
Name, phone, and email.
Yeah, at minimum that. It's a good way to just keep in touch. I like the idea of a phone number. To me, that has more, like more bonus points, if you will, because voice to voice is powerful. If you happen to get only an email and you're like, man, remember we talked about which is the most powerful way to connect with people, and it was face to face or voice to voice. What is one way that we could connect to people in a warm way if we only had their email? Because
Make a video.
yes, bingo, bing, 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 bonus points. So yeah, totally. Take a video, shoot a little video, really short video saying, hey, it was really great to see you at this open house. I just wanted to circle back around, and guess what you're doing? You're connecting with them. They see your face. They're like, oh yeah, I met this person at the open house. Send them a video. They're hearing your voice. They're connecting with your face. And it's just not another email that they get from another agent from an open house. This doing video will set you apart from the rest. What do you guys think? Is that something you think you'd try?
I do
I hope
notice,
so.
even though I don't like to be in front of the camera, that people like seeing your face, and you talking. So even though I
Yeah,
don't like it, it helps.
it does. It totally does. And it's just a good way. And don't overthink it. And just be yourself. Keep the message short and sweet. Hey, it'd even be great for you to just script it for yourself. What is it that you're going to say exactly? What item of value can you provide? Or you could be like, hey, I just want to reach out, say it was really great to meet you, and I am sending you some information on other open houses in the area, and I happened to come across this one property and made me think of you. I'd love to connect. What's a good phone number for us to connect with? And whatever, like if you don't have their phone number, whatever, short and sweet, but you also have to tell them what you expect of them. Okay, super. So when we're here at capture, what are some methods for capturing people's information? Like, oh, we gave one example, which was open houses. What are other ways that we can capture leads?
Social media.
Social media. Heck yeah. Or if you did an online I can't talk. Online online ad. If you did like some type of ad, like, hey, reach out, like remember we talked about during the social media section, we talked about lead magnets. Wouldn't it be great to be able to do like being able to capture information because you have an item of value that they have to register for? What's another way?
I was going to say networking events.
Oh, yeah.
I know, especially I have some people here who also own, small businesses, and they go to a lot of networking events and bring people along with them. So even utilizing other people's networking events and not necessarily having to pay for your own, but just any type of networking or gathering of people that you can do.
Exactly. That's a good one too. And then maybe if you have a listing for sale signs, sometimes I know there are some people who will put like a QR code for more information about this property, register here, or like text this number, and that's a way for lead capture as well.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So I've gotten since getting my license, I've gotten like quite a few text messages that seem to be like spam related. So how do you differentiate? I mean, just from people on this call with experience, how do you differentiate, a real person versus spam when it comes to trying to, collect information that way?
So are you saying that they're reaching out to you trying to sell you a service?
Well, it's not even sell me a service, but like I think some of these are potentially coming from maybe like the MLS. I can't quite figure that out. But if you're asking somebody like text this number, um, there's a lot of like text message now that go around that are spam that say like they can like, get information off your phone and then try and like emulate that same thing. So I just want to, people are getting smarter. And I was just curious if anybody's had experiences on how they kind of differentiate the two.
My thing is I make sure to call them. You can kind of tell if there's a robotic voice or whatever AI generator, but always call them and have a conversation. Another good way is also setting up a Zoom meeting yourself. Don't let them set it up because they'll send you a faulty link, but you set it up. And yeah, um, that, yeah,
I mean, for
those
me,
are my
I
two.
know right now it's mostly spam because I really haven't put anything out there with my phone number to call. So I think a lot of it right now is coming in as kind of spam. But yeah, that's really good. That's a good tip, Jeremy. I appreciate that.
Also, Google their name. My favorite was I had a guy trying to buy a house with $1 million cash, and
Nice.
I Googled his name
Was he
because I'm
a
like,
Nigerian prince?
he said he worked in the oil industry, and I was like, well, if you're that big, you have to have your name somewhere on Google, and nothing popped up. So, but yeah, phone calls are always the best to do. Like, um, yeah, sometimes I will mess with, if I know it's a spam, I'll mess with them, but without giving information, but that's on my own terms.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I think definitely just being cautious. Like I've gotten emails where it's like, hey, I'm interested in this property. Um, I'd love to connect with you on this. Can I send you a Zoom link? Please do not allow anyone else to send you a Zoom link. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and don't open it. Like if you're going to have a meeting with someone, then you have control over any meeting. So again, if you receive like it may look like a legitimate like message, um, but the moment they want to take control and have control over Zoom, just please be careful. That's like there's so much fraud happening. Even people using AI to disguise their voices or their looks, it creates a challenge. So how do you know? If you're not sure and you have the spidey sense that comes up or that gut check, um, just trust that. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so okay, so here we are. So we're talking about being able to capture um, this model of capture, connect, close, and or cultivate. So starting at the very top, we have this conversation framework. Number one, if I were to need to contact you, what would that number be? Right? Or 2, if I found exactly what you're looking for, how would I contact you? Or 3, if I found out that information you were wanting, how would I get it to you? If I could tell you to practice anything like script practice, practice with a partner, role play, commit these phrases, like commit to this. You're asking how to contact them, allow them to tell you. Okay. So let's do this. Jeremy,
Hello.
I want us to role play for a minute. I'm
Okay.
picking on you. Okay. So let's say I am the client. I just looked at this wonderful open house. I want to know if the builder, Jeremy, I want to know like what other floor plans are there? Does the builder have any, any other plans that might fit my family's needs?
There are a few different floor plans from the builder. And I don't have the information on me right now, but I'd love to be able to send it to you. Do you have a phone number and email that I could get in contact with you so I could send that over?
Sure, absolutely. Yep, you can send that information to bum 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 bum. So, and we're going to do it again. This time you were being creative and you asked for it and you said, well, I don't have it, but I will. And you got there. I want you to use one of these 3
Okay.
because it's very like concise.
Gotcha.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't give you that instruction, but you did great. You asked for it, asked for my information. And I want us to try with this. So you did great. You asked for it. You asked for the business, and that is important. Instead of saying, "Here's my business card,"
Yeah.
All right, we'll try it again. Jeremy, I want to know about these different floor plans, and I want to know if the builder has any other lots that I could potentially build on.
Okay. If I found out that information you're wanting, how would I get it to you?
Oh, you could just email it to me. My email is alaskaforsharon@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you. If you want to put that on the sign-in sheet with your phone number, I'd be happy to have that written down.
Yes. All right, great. Next, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm really curious about, the covenants and restrictions. Do you know if they allow chickens? And can I have goats in this neighborhood?
If I found out that information you're wanting, how would I get that to you?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, you can email that to me or give me a call. I'd love to know what that looks like. Where, if you need to email me, then you can email me at da 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 da, right?
Perfect. Let me go ahead and grab that phone number and put it into my phone so I can save that contact information.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so good. This is what role play looks like, right? So if you have an accountability partner, like hearing yourself say it, what you're giving yourself feedback, right? In the moment. That way you're not practicing on clients. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Great. Beautiful. I like it. You guys are like on fire. So, so yeah, this is exactly what I want you guys to practice. This is if there is one actionable item that you can start to do, this is what I'd like you to work on. Okay? Great job. Okay, so here we go, moving into connection. So the second step is to connect. Connecting is about laying the foundation for that working relationship, right? And we've talked about how do we connect with people? How do you connect with people? Because each one of us have our own way of connecting. A lot of it is what's really, really important is to listen. Oftentimes we want to be some people feel that they have to be the matter expert or have to have all the answers and do all the talking. The biggest step is to listen. Ask good questions, offer solutions, and keep the focus of the conversation on them. Remember, we talked about, and I've said this before, what if there's an objection or there's a concern? We talked about staying curious and ask questions and how you can practice that in everyday life. If there's a conflict, stay curious and ask questions. And you can even practice this if you go to a party or you have an event where you're connecting with people. Practice this at the gala when you guys go to the gala. And for those of you that don't have tickets, let's have a conversation. But practice this at the gala. Go meet new people. Ask them questions. Be the one that asks the questions and stay curious, right? And rather than, it's easy to stay in our corner, but if we move around and stay curious about other human beings, I think it's a great way to connect. So same thing with another human being, whether they're a buyer or a seller, just the goal is communication. In addition to building the relationship, it's also to determine their urgency. Like, how soon do they need to buy or sell? And also for them to give enough information so that way you know how to prioritize them. Does that make sense? We want to make sure that we have enough information, like, all right, what questions do they have? How soon do they need to move? Continue asking questions and staying curious. And it helps you know like what touch campaign to use for them. Because if you create a touch campaign specifically for sellers versus buyers, or for A buyers, like A buyers are the people who are ready, willing, and able now, like they're ready to go, maybe that campaign looks a little different than someone who's like, this may be down the road. That's something to consider as well. So as you communicate and connect, keep these best practices in mind. You're going to embed your value proposition in the conversation. That's first one. If you don't have your value proposition written up and solidified by now, please do so. We worked on this in week 1. I believe in session 4. Number 2, so you're going to build and have confidence through knowing what you're going to say. Role play. We just did a mini role play. Practice conversations. And know the market data. Reach out to your accountability partner. If you don't have an accountability partner, or your accountability partner is not being accountable and showing up, then it's good to have a conversation with them. Remember, stay curious and ask questions. We don't ever want to like jump in with judgment, but stay curious and ask questions. And hey, we're supposed to meet regularly and practice. Where are you? I'm counting on you, you know? Or what's going on in life? How are things going? You really, and be that person for your accountability partner too, but role play. You should be, how often do you all think that you should be role playing? How many times a week?
4 or 5.
Yeah, at least every day if you can. I mean, Monday through Friday or whatever that looks like, right? Okay, so we'll keep going. Oh, and then also, thirdly, you want to use backward design when thinking about your communication. I'm going to say that again. Use backward design, like thinking of the end in mind. Like think about the intended outcome before starting the conversation. What is it that you want out of this conversation? Use the questions to help lead them towards that appointment, right? So staying curious and working towards that. Do you have any questions about this? All right. So turn to your participant guide. Turn to the 6 connection questions page in your guide. So there's an art to connecting. It's not small talk. Your communication should seek to answer 6 basic questions. Here are the 6 basic questions. Could I have someone read these out for me, please?
Who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want or need to do it? How do they plan to do it?
Exactly. So open up to your participant guide. You actually have some examples of what those 6 connection questions might look like. Does anyone have their participant guide open right now?
I do.
Oh, wonderful. Can you read those for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Who are they? Example, back up if you would. Please tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you want me to read the objective too? Okay.
Yeah.
Objective, you're looking for as much personal information about them and their situation as they are willing to share. Marital status, kids, pets, jobs, etc. These are the details that you'll later put in your database or reconnect with them in the future. What do they want or need to do? Example, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would please tell me what you want to do. Objective, you're beginning to assess their wants, needs, and current plans. Where do they want or need to do it? Example, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would, can you share with me where you're thinking of moving? Objective, now you're trying to get an understanding of their current situation. Why do they want or need to do it? Example, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would, can you share with me why you're doing this? Objective, you're trying to determine their motivation. When do they want or need to do it? Example, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would, can you share with me when you'd like to do this? Objective, you're getting a feel for their timetable. And how do they plan to do it? Example, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would, can you please share with me what you've already done to plan for this? Objective, you're assessing what they have already done, their expectations, and perhaps their experience.
Excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem.
So this is creating like a framework of how to have that conversation, especially if you're at open houses. Excellent way to kind of dig a little deeper. Like, all right, what are they looking for? By when do they need to do this by? Like, what brought them here? I skipped with who are they? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself. That's building like personal rapport, right? And then also, why is that important to them? Why is it important that they have a bedroom on the main floor? Maybe they have an older parent that is going to live with them, or and how do they plan on doing that? What steps have they taken moving forward? So sometimes in conversations it'll just happen in different ways, right? It might not go in this order, but the important thing is to listen. That's huge. Listen to what they're telling you and read between the lines, and also being able to read their body language or listen to the inflection in their voice. And if you remain that like calm presence and open and curious, truly, then they start to relax and trust you because you're one human curious about another. Does that make sense? Um, so I want you guys to make sure to practice this. And in fact, I really I really believe in role play because it puts you on the spot. It's like I'm throwing you guys into the pool. Swim, 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 swim. And so we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it now. So, Kelsey, are you available?
I am.
Oh, super. Great. All right. So I'm at an open house that you're hosting, and I'm looking around, asking questions. I'm saying, hey, yeah, I'm curious about this home and how long has it been on the market? And you're telling me these things, and now you want to try to find a way to connect with me. Let's run through these. Let's have a conversation.
Okay. So what brings you in today?
Oh, I'm just looking. I just am trying to get an idea of what homes are on the market. I may potentially have to sell my home, and I need to upgrade. I need a bigger house.
Tell me more about that. Do you have kids at home? Is your family growing?
Oh, yeah, actually we are. My parents are going to be moving in with us, so I need enough room to be able to have space for my parents and preferably a bedroom on the main floor.
Absolutely. I can definitely pull up some listings that meet your needs. How would I get that information to you?
Oh, let's see, you could probably email that to me at alaskaforsharon@gmail.com. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Perfect. I can definitely have that over to you today. Can you also sign into my sheet here and I can have your number and follow up with you following that email?
Beautiful. Okay, I will do that. Done. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's look back. I want other feedback from everyone else except Kelsey. What did you notice? And did she cover a lot of these questions, or is there anything that she did not cover? What was your observation?
I may have missed it, but the only thing I think she missed is when on the timeline.
And also, there was another.
The how?
Yeah, the how. Like, what steps have you taken to accomplish this? Sometimes just asking what steps have you taken, it's very broad, but it allows them to answer you whether they've talked to a lender or have they talked to a realtor, have they gone out to look at houses. Yeah, Kelsey, you did amazing. I just want to like, yay. And like, did you
Thank
hear?
you.
She's like, boom. She's like, yep. And how do I get this information to you? This is how we help to convert, and we also capture. That's actually the capture. This is the connect, right? So great job. So that's in action. And Kelsey, by no means when I'm looking for feedback is to say you did anything wrong. Not at all. You did excellent navigating that conversation. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it was very natural. How did that feel for you, Kelsey? I want your opinion. How did that feel?
Just normal conversation. I didn't have to like force myself.
Exactly. You just stayed curious and you were asking questions. I felt like you were genuinely curious, and then you asked me how I get them that information, and I gave you that information. And at no point did I feel pressured, or I didn't feel like you were salesy. In my opinion, that's one thing that in my experience, I've noticed a lot of people say, I just don't want to sound salesy. Stephanie and Jeremy, did you guys feel like that sounded salesy?
No, I was going to mention just an observation I had was that it just felt very natural. She got a lot of information out of like a natural conversation.
Yeah, it was
Excellent.
very friend on the street type of conversation. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. Exactly. So this is this is exactly like, guys, this is what I want you practicing. How are we having these conversations? How are we staying curious? How are we asking questions? And Kelsey, thank you so much for being voluntold to do this. I appreciate you just jumping in, and you did it. And we have this framework. So, so fantastic. Like, and all of these can come, like, find a natural rhythm that works for you guys. So definitely practice with one another, and then we'll just keep going. We're going to figure out like, um, all right, how do I continue this conversation? How do I ask these questions? And you have it in your participant guide. So definitely practice. Okay, super. We will keep going. We are at 9:54. Let's do this. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at the top of the hour, and we'll come back at 10 o'clock. Go ahead and take in some water, leave some water, and we'll be back here at the top of the hour. Thanks, guys. You did an amazing job. Okay. All right, so we're gonna keep going. So in regards to the 6 connection questions, when we talk about connecting, after you've connected with someone, either via an open house or you've connected with them in some way, maybe it's over the phone, maybe you get a lead or like a referral, or you start to have a real estate conversation with someone. As soon as you have done connecting with them, and you've asked these questions, then your priority is to make sure to document it. If you're at an open house and you have an open house sign-in sheet, something that I've done typically is I'll flip that page over, and I'll write notes on the back. Like, okay, needs a house for aging parents, their timeline, looking to move in the next, 3 months, and, highlight any key points. So that way, once I put these contacts into command, I have notes. So I know exactly what it is that we have discussed. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. And then at that time, you could also like tag things, like if you happen to connect with them in some way, that they're cross-country skiers, or like if you've connected with them, and that they have interests, or they have kids, or they have pets, or whatever, like you're using Ford in addition to these connection questions sprinkled all about, right? So those forward is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So this is a way to find good connection with people. All right, here we go. Okay, so yep, we covered connection. Now we're going to move on to cultivate. So you can't know or predict when they will come to a decision. But if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, again, reconnecting with them, because you're connecting with them when you first meet them, but in order to cultivate, it's nice to keep that connection warm. You're feeding the fire. And if you're systematic about it, then you'll have a great chance of being there when they are ready to make a decision, right? And that's when you'll be able to close for an appointment. All right, so go ahead and turn to the lead conversion process, that cultivation page in your participant guide. All right, so your goal in using the lead conversion model is to move immediately from capture, connect, to close. However, a very small percentage of leads will need to be cultivated. They won't be necessarily ready for the close or to be converted to an appointment. So to keep mind share, meaning to stay top of mind, you'll use a touch campaign to stay in communication and cultivate that relationship until they're ready for an appointment. So in Ignite, yesterday we talked about using touch campaign, and we talked about 19 to connect, 1 to cement, and also 36 to convert. So you'll leverage these to stay in contact with them, so that way you can get an appointment. And as you start to implement your touch campaigns, you can always pursue creating your own touch campaigns that fit your business needs. So it's recommended that you start with the 3 that have been introduced first until you have a solid understanding of how touch campaigns work. Does that make sense? So we've given you that framework in order to know how to connect. And remember, we also talked yesterday about sometimes it takes like 7 asks before you get a yes. Maybe people, depending on where they are in life or what their circumstances are, maybe they just have something in their mind and they're thinking about the future. They're not exactly sure how they're going to get there. And real estate is top of mind. So you want to be there as they continue to process. And so that way, when they think, oh, who should I be calling for this? Well, who's maintained contact with them? You have. So very, very important. So cultivation is the step in the model in which most agents find themselves struggling. Why do you think agents struggle with the cultivation stage? Let's have an open discussion about this. Why do you guys think agents struggle with this cultivation?
Potentially
So,
not having the time to cultivate those relationships, or feeling like they don't have the time and focusing on, other deals that they're doing or relationships where they're forgetting to follow up and keep cultivating that relationship.
Right. And what would help them with that?
Time blocking. Time blocking.
Time blocking, structure, systems. Yep. Having a system in place. So I'm planting this seed. If you don't have your SMART plan put together yet, I know you just learned it yesterday, make that your priority this week. How are you going to follow up with the people that you are coming in contact with? How can we start to structure and build that, right? So sometimes agents will struggle with this because they don't have the systems in place to follow up with that lead. So then that lead may fall through the cracks. And then they get disappointed when that buyer goes, or that seller, that lead, moves on with another agent. So you've invested a lot, and it's really important to just have a cadence, have something that will give you reminders, and having that system. So there's in this book that I keep referencing, it's called Shift. It talks about a shifting market, right? And it reminds us that you can't know or predict when they will come to a decision, but you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, right? So we're touching on that again. Reconnecting in a systematic way, right? And then you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. And that's when you'll be able to close for the appointment. So we covered this. So again, systems and models work. Sometimes it feels boring, or it appears boring, but guys, it works. So do the boring stuff now before you get too busy to do it. Okay, so going to the close, when asking for the appointment, which format do you think is most effective?
Either in person or phone call. I think in person is probably the most effective, but one of those two are the most personal.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We talked about this yesterday. So bing, bing. Great job, Stephanie.
Can
Yeah,
I
phone
ask a
calls.
question on that?
Yeah, please do.
So I actually, from the lead I know I talked to you about, Sharon, this week, they specifically asked me to text them. So I did text them yesterday, but I haven't heard back. So at that point, is it appropriate to call? Like, you've kind of followed the request, or do you keep text going?
You know what I would do if I were you? Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay, great. There's this great feature that I love, and maybe you've used it. This is how I communicate with a very busy friend of mine, my best friend who's out of state. It has that little audio button. And I'm like,
Yes.
hey, how's it going? And I leave the message, and then I hit send via text.
Okay. So then you're doing
That
both.
there. So you just sent it via text, but you left them on audio. And guess what? It's a disappearing message. So you, at least on my end, if they have an iPhone on the other end, that message will disappear once they've listened to it. So
Okay, that's a
then
good
I
idea.
know that it's been listened to, and then I won't see it on my end anymore.
Yep.
So, so I think try that. It's a voice to voice. They hear your sincerity. Or do a video. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and whatever your comfort level is, but voice or video.
Okay. Thanks.
So
These are all good tips for me today.
yeah, this is, I mean, like voice to voice is huge. Especially, we're in an era where texting is so convenient and it can be misinterpreted big time, right? So, so I think it's important to have a voice to voice. And you'll probably hear me say this a lot, but I will touch base with you guys regarding text. When you're negotiating a deal, please pick up the phone and have a conversation with the other realtor. A lot could be misinterpreted, tonality, whatever, like a lot can be misinterpreted via text. Even if you guys are like, oh yeah, we've got this, it's solid. Follow it up with picking up the phone and say, hey, I just would like to touch base and just go over everything we just texted about to make sure we're on the same page. That way they hear your tonality moving forward. Does that make sense? Because sometimes people have in their mind, they'll give you a voice. Have you ever done that? Like someone makes you uncomfortable or a situation makes you uncomfortable, and all of a sudden you villainize their voice via text. And you'd be like, ooh, that feels harsh. When in fact they're just being direct and they just asked a question. And maybe they didn't perceive it as such. So staying curious and omitting our interpretation. I hope that makes sense. Like, I think we all have experienced this where text can be misinterpreted. And someone who thinks that they're just being direct and just communicating directly with you with no ulterior motive. And we may take it wrong because we read that wrong or we're overlaying our own perceptions. So I think texts can be very tricky about connecting with people. It's not always the best way. Okay. Okay, so I'd like you to turn to your participant guide. And there's a page called the close page. And you're going to find more information there regarding the types of closes to use when you role play or practice conversations. And you can use it as a resource after Ignite as well. Jeremy, do you have your participant guide open to that page, perhaps?
Yes, I do.
Great. Could you read some of those closes for me?
Yeah, perfect. The hard close. Let's meet. The soft close. I really enjoyed visiting with you. Would you like to get together and discuss this further? The direct close. Can we meet today? The indirect close. Would it be okay if I got you some information to look over and then we can meet to discuss? Trial close. Have we gone over enough today that meeting would be our next step? The assumptive close. It sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week. So what works best for you? The negative positive close. Would you be offended if I asked if we could meet to go over this? The take back close. I've really enjoyed visiting with you. To be honest, I'm not sure if I can help or not, but I'd be honored if we could meet to find out. The tie down close. wouldn't it make sense for us to meet in the next day or so? In the alternative choice close. What works better for you? Meeting today, sometime this afternoon, or tomorrow morning?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And Jeremy, I know you and I worked on these type of closes. And so I think, wouldn't it be great after you have these connecting questions to be able to, how do you solidify and go for the close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the connection questions are very important, to know what is their motivation, their timeline, how are they going to do it? Why is that important to them? Who are they? Like, find as much as you can behind who this person is and why is this important to them and how do we get them there. And by the way, let's meet so I can help you navigate this process. And so, so I'm curious from each of you, Kelsey, which one speaks the most to you? What type of close would work for you? And if not, we can go to Stephanie. Stephanie, what kind of close would work for you?
Yeah, I can go. I think either soft or direct close. I think just depending on the person, I think you need to read the person as well.
Yes.
But for me, what's most natural is usually more direct. So, but the soft direct approach can work for a lot more people. So,
Yes. Yep. Definitely read the people that you are working with. Is everyone here familiar with the DISC?
Yes.
Okay. And if you're not, the DISC is basically a personality assessment. And all of us have like these four aspects that we carry. Some of us carry some that are more dominant and others that are maybe a bit more hidden. So DISC stands for dominant. So dominant is are those individuals that make really strong eye contact and are very direct, ask very direct questions. And I'm also giving you like, look, I'm giving you like the extreme spectrum of one of these high Ds. Okay. So if someone has a high D, then this is the extreme. Like there are people who may have a high D, but not be like fully encompass all aspects of it. But typically when you see them walk across the room, let's say at an airport, they're walking, they're booking it. They have somewhere to be, somewhere to go. They've got a mission. Their personalities tend to be much cooler, so not as warm. And again, these are like major extremes, right? I'm giving you like the extreme version of a high D. Someone who's just like, don't waste my time. That's really the biggest thing about a high D. Don't waste my time. Versus a high I. I is like, these are the influential people. They are the party people. They're the ones like, hey, I'm here. And they're really loud and they're like, when they're naturally comfortable, they're comfortable in their own skin. They love to be the center of attention. They have no problem, you know, being being themselves, right? And they're the ones who, if you see them at the airport, they're running late. They're running across because they had just gotten done talking to everybody and being super friendly, and they're running across trying to catch their plane, right? So yeah, that's a high I. And then we have the S, the steady people, S. The S's are warm, they're very inviting, they're very considerate of others. No, like they're not comfortable making decisions. They will allow the decision, hand off decisions to someone else. They have a really hard time saying no. They are like They are very family oriented. That's really important to them. They're fiercely loyal. So don't mess with their family and don't mess with what's important to them, because then they'll be very stubborn, right? And so here's an example. Maybe a high D is married to a high S, and they're getting ready to go out to dinner, and the high D is like, where do you want to go for dinner? And the high S may go like, I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know, wherever you want to go. Oh, and then the high D gets super frustrated because they just want the S to make a decision, but the S doesn't want to make a decision. They want the D, who always makes decisions, to make the decision. So it's funny to see like opposites of a spectrum coming together. And they complement each other somehow. And then the last one is a C. They are very like concise. They are the engineers. They are very they have lists. These are the people who absolutely love lists. Great, I've checked it off, checked it off. Sometimes it might be color coded. These are the people who are also cooler, very non-emotional, or appears to be non-emotional. But to them, it's more important about being factual and right. These clients that you may meet may ask you for a lot of information. Do you have a copy of the as-built survey? Do you know where the corners of the lots are? They may already know this information. They're asking you because they're testing your knowledge. They don't ever want to be wrong. If they are, oh my gosh, like that, how can that be? Like it's not data driven, or like they're very data and like task oriented. So the high C's and the D's are all about tasks. Let's get it done. Boom, 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 boom. The others are more flow with. You know, the I's and the S's are flow with. Each of us have all four. One may be dominant, and then we have a secondary one. Okay? If you're curious about your disc, there's a free test, like even through like TonyRobbins.com. You can type in Tony Robbins disc, DISC. There's tons of disc assessments out there. I know I've used Truity. For those of you that have like our onboarding checklist, for those of you that are new in real estate, check it out. On our onboarding checklist, there's a website there for you to be able to get your free disc assessment. It's good to know yours. And the reason I bring up the disc is because, like Stephanie said, knowing who are you talking to, who are you engaging with, and you should mirror and match. So if you are a very direct person and you just like to get it done and like, people frustrate you, slow down, take a deep breath, and just stay curious. Ask questions about people's family, even though you're like, I just want to get to the point. Or vice versa. If you are that warm, not wanting to make decisions, you're the S, and you're all about family, and you're very slower in your speech, and you know you're talking to someone who's a bit more direct and just they're go, go, go. You need to elevate and speed up your speech so that way you mirror and match the person that you're talking to. Or if you're talking to someone who's more flamboyant, oh my gosh, I love this house. Can I touch the curtains? Oh, that's so gorgeous. Great. Then you're switching personas. Oh, yes. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, what do you think about this? Oh, wow. And then you'll start to ask questions based on how they're mirroring to you and you're matching. Make sense? You almost become a different persona, but you need to either speed up your speech or slow it down based on the person you're talking to and get to the point if you need to. Otherwise, slow it down, ask about family, ask about what's important to them, or if they are concise and want a lot of information, the more information you feed them, Like, oh, and I did research on this, and I happen to find the covenants and restrictions. Here's a copy of the plat, and you better know the square footage of the home that you're hosting if you're at an open house. So it's like knowing who you're talking to and mirroring and matching. That helps solidify some connection. Any questions or comments about anything I mentioned? Are you guys like, yes, this is me? Or you're like, oh, this is nuts? What do you guys think?
You
Nobody.
know, I've done my disc profile multiple times, and I'm definitely high I, super high I, uh,
Uh-huh.
with a D and S steady. So, um, one thing I always have to work on is toning it down a little uh, with people because
Mhm.
I definitely come off probably too friendly to some people, and it scares them. So,
It's okay. We love you just the way you are. And and also like something else to keep in mind as a high I, if you're dealing with a high C personality or someone with a strong C, um, they are usually when they show up to appointments, they're 10 minutes early. So keeping that in mind, like who are you dealing with? And are you showing up, just on time or barely or late? And the high C's are like, they're wasting my time. So knowing who you're dealing with and being able to mirror and match. Um, so it's interesting. I think it's fascinating to learn about it. I love studying the human design, how we're built, how we think, how other people think. And I'm like, great, how do you tick? Let me find out. Let me crack you open. That's staying curious and fascinated with the other human being, like, especially when there's conflict. Like, oh, okay, I could put on my defenses, or I could stay curious and lean in and be like, oh, why is this happening? What did I trigger? I think that's just staying curious. Let me ask questions. All right, absolutely. Non-threatening, so it's good. All right, super. Let's keep going. So in the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. And if they don't, they won't. And that's okay. You really don't care about their answer ultimately is because oh, hold on. You really don't care what their answer ultimately is because you're not getting people to do anything that they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win. So, um, so what are your thoughts on this? Any comments?
you know, provide proper leverage, and it you won't give a if you provide good enough leverage for a meeting, people won't say no.
Correct. Absolutely. But also, we can't force people to do what they don't want to do. We can just continue to ask. And if we're tied to a result, then we're going to let ourselves down. It's like if you have fear of rejection and you know this about yourself, I want you to do this right now. Are you ready? Shake it off. Because in this industry, it's going to reveal all of your shadows and the things that potentially trigger you. And this is where you get to have a breakthrough moment. If you have fear of rejection and you recognize it, wonderful. That's the first step. Number two is you are just asking and you are waiting for them to respond how they choose to respond. And it's not ever about you. So if you're ever in a ho-hum situation as woe is me, I'm going to say, let's snap out of it. Let's have a 10-second pity party. It's okay, but don't stay there. We're going to move past that, and we can't control other people. We can just control ourselves. And we're not always going to be everyone's flavor of ice cream. We just know that we are putting out this flavor, we're putting out this offering, and the people who are meant to work with you will come and work with you. Does that make sense? I hope this helps, because the only reason I'm saying this to you all is because I've been there. I've been the one ready to door knock and got the no and went back to my car to cry. And some of you might be like, oh, well, why? That doesn't happen to me. Great, good. Well, I'm talking to the people who the step to do the ask because they're frozen in their own mind. And so this is my encouragement to you is we start to do, we just think that we're coming from contribution. You know what's in your heart, and that's what you're putting forth. You're not putting things out there with an expectation that everyone will say yes. We're fishing. We're basically putting stuff out there, and the people who are attracted and meant to work with you will. And maybe if you're not, then that's just kind of Spirit's way of saying, you didn't need that one right now. They needed someone else. Totally okay. Okay, that's my cheerleading moment for you guys. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about improving your conversion rate. So I want you to refer to the conversion rates page in your participant guide. So you learned about models, steps, and actions that it takes to convert a lead to an appointment. And we're going to dig deeper into what a conversion rate is and how it can inform your business decisions. Your conversion rate refers to the percentage of leads you ask for in an appointment to those that agree to the appointment, right? So for example, you can ask 10 leads for an appointment and succeed in setting 8 appointments. That's an 80% conversion ratio. Your ultimate goal is to increase your skills so you can convert at the highest percentage possible. All right? And if you don't know what your conversion rate is, this is why it's important to start tracking. So the higher the percentage, the more leads that have converted into appointments. And if you're converting at a low percentage, this should tell you that you have a lead conversion challenge. So what do you think we should work on if you have a low lead conversion challenge? What should we be working on? This means that you have difficulty getting them to an appointment. What could we work on? Maybe we work on scripts. Maybe we work on these conversations that lead to connection, right? And also the close. We just talked about how to close and ask for the appointment. So practicing role play, so you would increase that practice of role play with your accountability partner in order to increase your conversion rate. Do you have any questions before we move on? Sometimes lead conversion is based on your total number of leads in your database, and sometimes it's just based on the leads that are being cultivated at the current time. So if you know that you're reaching out to 10 people every day to make connections, maybe being able to track it at a micro level, right? And just see how things go. And then you can go to a macro level, right? And so what's important is to evaluate your business and what works for you, and then repeat that same measure of success each time you calculate your conversion rate. So in your participant manual, you can go ahead and complete the calculation on the conversion rates. So when you make your calls today, or you make your contacts, however that works, through DM, a two-way conversation, a text, a phone call, in person, whatever that looks like, start to track that and look at your conversion rate. Okay? Oops. Okay, yeah. So next, we're going to look at ways to improve your conversion rates. You look at the conversion rate page in your participant guide. And then once you understand what your conversion rate is, then you can move from E to P, right? Do you remember that from day one? It's one of the Keller Williams 6 personal perspectives. This is when you get more purposeful in improving your conversion rate. So you're gaining insight, and getting more purposeful will ultimately bring you more closed transactions. So some activities you can engage to improve your conversion rates might include time blocking. So you're time blocking for lead conversion or lead generation. And if you erase it, what do? You replace it. You use conversations and systems. Practice conversations, dialogues, asking for the close, mastering buyer and seller presentations and relationships. So I've given you the tools on how to ask the questions for connection, and then also how to get to the close with a variety of ways to close, right? And you practice before you practice on your clients by role playing, right? And then we use systems that support lead conversion in your business. So systems make sure you take the right steps at the right time and continue to gain more mind share, right? And we don't want to neglect any part of your database. So reconnect with each person. And when you do, ask for the referral. They won't know to send you referrals unless you ask. So conversion activities are not just for leads, they're also for your sphere of influence. Come from care and curiosity and contribution, and get back in relationship with past clients. Or if you don't have clients yet, is there someone you haven't talked to in a while? How can you fuel that relationship? Know who to prioritize. In an upcoming session in the lead follow-up segment, you'll learn how to prioritize potential clients. So prioritize converting those qualified leads while still working on the rest of your database. Like Stephanie mentioned before, it's easy to get like hyper-focused on the business that you're working now, but the leads that aren't quite converted yet, well, it's easy to kind of overlook them and not cultivate them because you're focused on something else. But if you have systems and models in place, it will certainly help. Okay? So, any questions on that? Okay. Next, the lead conversion model. So again, every lead has the potential to turn into business, every single lead. And as you've already heard, there are no bad leads. So with the lead conversion model, you've learned capture the appropriate information so you can connect with the lead. You're connecting to assess their needs and establish a relationship. Number 3, you cultivate the relationship. So not all people will convert directly to an appointment. So use touch campaigns to stay top of mind. And number 4, close by asking for the appointment. You are in control of this ask, no one else. Any ahas, any thoughts? Okay, so as we wrap up, you've learned our learning session and transition to our success system. Do you feel like you came to an understanding of the lead conversion model? Do you have a better understanding of it?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And then also further develop your system for capturing, cultivating, and closing leads. So we talked about how to capture them, cultivate, and come to a close. You have the tools. So what actionable steps can you take to ensure that you are becoming a master of this craft, or the master of conversations? What can you do moving forward?
Script practice.
Yes, absolutely. Role play, role play, role play. If you do not have an accountability partner to role play with, please reach out to me. We'll get you in connection with someone. And as Jeremy mentioned before, how long do you need to be doing this? How often? Every day. If you all are new to real estate, you should be practicing this so that way it comes naturally. Make sense? Okay, let's keep going. So I want to know, how's your mindset now? What are you guys thinking? What's an aha or something that you learned today that you're going to take moving forward? What's your actionable step for today?
I thought that was my computer for a second. I really liked just those, well, not just the closing, but the who, what, when, where, and kind of the sample questions for buyers and sellers. I've been pretty scripted, and I think these have some great additions to what I've been practicing.
Excellent. Exactly. It gives a kind of a natural transition into asking questions. I'm going to give you one more. So, and this I learned from Jay Bruzas. He's on the RMG team, and he was working as a buyer's agent for many years. He and I both started in real estate together. He and I both were in IGNITE together. And I thought he was so well scripted. I mean, right out of the gate, I'm like, gosh, this guy is so good. And he just continues to blow my mind. But there's one thing that I thought was interesting that he does. So when he works with buyers and they're like, hey, he asks them, do you have any questions? And they're like, nope, I don't have any questions. Guess what he follows it up with? Well, if you were to have any questions, what would that question be? And then he's quiet and he listens. And someone will end up asking a question. So, rip and repeat. Like, take that. Like, if you're like, hey, thanks for visiting this open house. Are there any questions I can answer for you? No. Well, if you did have any questions, what would that question be? And see if they come up with a question. So wonderful. All right.
I just
All
want
right.
to touch base on Jay as well. For my birthday, instead of just the generic happy birthday that everybody sent, he sent me a private message and said, hey, I want to know, what did you learn from this past year and what are you wanting to do this coming year? And I thought that was really cool because it opened a conversation. And it's funny because, it's even just realtor to realtor, but I just thought that was super cool and we could be more purposeful in, taking that to our clients, not just saying happy birthday, but asking them questions that gets the
Precisely.
conversation started. So
I love that. Absolutely, yes. I would totally, yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Please. Like, I love that. I'm telling you, like, think about what are you feeding your mind, and think beyond. Like, how can you connect with clients? How are you connecting with other humans? What a great way to connect with other humans, by finding out, where are you growing in life? What have you learned? What are your dreams? What are you hoping to accomplish this year? Maybe accomplish isn't a great word, but what are you hoping to become? Who is the person you're becoming? What do you hope to do this year? Like, be, do, have. I love be, do, have. Like, think about that. Like, what have you learned? What are you hoping to move towards? What are your dreams? And I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm telling you, Jay Bruises, if you have an opportunity to just give him a call and say, hey, Sharon was talking about you. Yeah, please do. He's a great guy. Even if you just want to be like, hey, I just wanted to reach out, human to human. I've heard great things about you while we were in this Ignite class, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm new in real estate. Call him. Totally cool with that.
also follow him on Facebook, because his responses to people is top notch. I mean, he is so Rico Suave with how he interacts with people, as far as just coming natural and asking questions. Even seeing him on like Matsu Valley, who to use, when people, do the give me a realtor, and he just comments so nonchalant of like, hey, I'd love for you to interview me. Feel free to interview more. I mean, he is just top notch.
Yeah. So totally, like, if you see how someone else carries themselves in public, like, emulate that. So I highly recommend that as well. All right, so let me stop sharing here. I'm going to stop our recording.